I don't think that matters as much as this, what I call 4 vectors of policy coming at crypto right now. When it happens, prices are going nowhere but up.
Welcome to Dream Richer. When would Bitcoin hit $1 million? This question has been on the mind of every crypto investor. So far, the market looks very depressing, with Bitcoin continuing to drop lower. As of right now, Bitcoin hovers around the $29,000 mark, with the whole crypto market standing in a state of extreme panic. Should this price drop be something that you worry about? Today, the millionaire investor Kevin O'Leary gives his take on the future for Bitcoin. Oftentimes, looking towards the future can be a great way of snapping your mind out of panic if the market has dropped. As Mr. Wonderful argues, the future looks more bullish than ever for Bitcoin. Despite the current rocky market conditions, Mr. Kevin argues that 4 major things are about to take place in crypto. In his words, once they occur, crypto prices are going nowhere but up. Over the years, Kevin O'Leary has shown strong support for Bitcoin and crypto at large. The Shark Tank judge has not shied away from showing his support for Bitcoin, calling it the granddaddy of crypto coins. If you find the video helpful, then don't forget to subscribe. Let's get right into it.
And the fact that the Swiss actually shut down Russian accounts is also unprecedented. So there's going to be a lot of economic pain and misery inflicted in Russia. And my assumption, and I think the market, although many people won't say this, I'll go ahead and say it, Putin will probably end up in a hunting accident pretty soon. And that's because he's inflicting so much economic damage. And in addition to the misery he's, putting onto these Ukrainians. I mean, this is a Mussolini situation. I've seen this movie before, and it's okay if that happens to him. I think most people think that he's probably got long COVID or suffering from syphilis. Nobody really knows. But at the end of the day, it'll resolve itself probably sooner than later. And so that's one way the market looks at it. Now, as far as crypto goes, and Roy and I are obviously focused on that, I don't think that matters as much as this, what I call 4 vectors of policy coming at crypto right now. Let me walk just through the shopping list. So this is also unprecedented. Number 1, you got the Loomis bill. And it's mostly positive. I've read it. A lot of positive policy in that. Number 2, you've got the executive order from Biden that says we must embrace this and regulate it. Also good news. It could have gone the other way. He could have said we want to make this illegal. Number 3, you've got the SEC talking about carbon audits, and I'll get to that in a moment. That just happened last week. And number 4, you've got this remarkable situation coming out of BlackRock, the world's largest money manager, decrying and talking about Bitcoin mining and carbon credits not aligning. And I think there's a lot of policy in all of that. But the fact that that's all happening shows you that crypto is never going away. And I think the more it gets regulated, the more institutional assets flow into this asset class.
The Russian conflict has made the case for one of the best features of Bitcoin, which is, of course, that it's always there wherever you are. So the initial attraction I had for the asset back in 2011 was it seemed to solve a historical problem, which is how to take your things from place to place if they're too big to carry. And of course, Bitcoin is always there on the blockchain wherever you are. So in terms of asset transport, it's pretty clear that there's a great use case for it. But we have a much bigger situation happening, and it has really very little to do with Russia and Ukraine. For me, the big reason to be interested in Bitcoin and the space in general, but in particular, the largest assets in the space, Bitcoin and Ether, is that the balance sheet expansion of the Federal Reserve has gotten so far out of control that there is no heading off inflation caused by the printing of dollars. We already had gas at $3.40 a gallon, up almost 50% in the last 12 months before the Ukraine conflict even began. And that's caused by too many dollars chasing too few goods. So what I'm going to do right now is make a case that I think is going to make a very reasonable, sensible prediction that we get Bitcoin prices 10, 100, 1,000, and even 10,000 times what the price is right now. Now that sounds probably a little crazy, but let me take you through it. Right now, the inflation rate is about 10%. I think most people would say it's fairly reasonable to think that we could have 10% inflation for another 20 or 30 years. That doesn't sound so out of control.
Bitcoin's price held firm below $30,000 as of Wednesday when the crypto market struggled to regain upward momentum. With the broader market in turmoil, Bitcoin continues to see its price challenged and dropped as much as 20% in value earlier in the month. The crypto market has also been increasingly tracking the stock market, which combined with more mainstream adoption, and the slumping prices we've seen to start the year makes it even more intertwined with macroeconomic factors. This is why factors that traditionally affect stock markets, like rising inflation, geopolitical crises, and concern over tighter monetary policy by the Fed, are now also affecting the crypto markets. Bitcoin hasn't been above $50,000 since December 25th of 2021. Some argue that the Terra Luna crash could be to blame for the recent Bitcoin crash. What do you think is the reason behind this crash? Let us know in comments below.
Bitcoin itself will provide enough liquidity for an institution. And I would add this, regardless of what you think your target price is, if it does become an indexed asset, and I think once the SEC mandates it, it will, the volatility will decline dramatically, because what happens in an indexing model is when prices decline and your weighting is 1.5 basis points or 150 bips, you simply buy up to your 150 bip maximum. And when prices exceed that, then you trim back. But that provides tremendous stability for any asset. So you find that stocks that get indexed, or assets that get indexed, all of a sudden prices go up and stability becomes part of what their story is for a very long period of time. But I believe that all the regulators talk to each other practically every day. But there's a special relationship between the OSC and the SEC, because they regulate markets that are so similar in nature. And so I believe that whatever is going on in Ontario has already been quasi-approved by the brethren at the SEC, and they're using Ontario and the Canadian provinces as guinea pig states to try these ideas out. And what ideas are those? The first ETF with the underlying asset real Bitcoin, the first ETF with the underlying asset Ethereum, the very first global crypto exchange attached to a dealer broker license, both sides regulated. That was extraordinary. That was called BitBuy. I know that one because just a few hours ago, WonderFi acquired 100% of it. So now WonderFi, which has decentralized finance, has combined with centralized wallets. That's never been done before. In addition to that, the OSC has made the order by which that was licensed public. Many other jurisdictions are reading the 300+ page document and using it as a blueprint for other jurisdictions like the United Arab Emirates and Brazil and Switzerland and England. So those regulators are marching ahead, making the assumption that there will be SEC policy. So if you're an investor now, like I am, and clearly Roy is, we take our positions pre the stabilization of indexing by institutions. Why? We'll be rewarded for taking that position now. And when it happens, I don't know. Could be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, who knows? But when it happens, prices are going nowhere but up.
It's clear from Mr. Wonderful's explanation that even though Bitcoin price cannot be accurately predicted. However, one thing is for certain, Bitcoin price is bound to pump massively once large whales enter the space because of more regulation. While the cryptocurrency is still volatile, it has many strong ultra-wealthy fans, but it has also drawn critics and doubters over the years. For example, the Winklevoss twins are among its top fans. They were the first Bitcoin billionaires and became Bitcoin billionaires once again in 2020, thanks to the price surge. Titans Mark Cuban and Warren Buffett, however, are more dubious about the value of Bitcoin. Do you think Bitcoin will go up in price once again, as predicted by Kevin O'Leary? Or will we see something completely different? To learn more about the latest crypto news, watch these videos here.